Hi, my name is Pamela and welcome back to the next episode of Sisters Squared. I have an amazing guest here today named Nicole. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm happy that you're willing to share your story with us about your son, Jayson, with autism.
Thank you.
So every journey is unique, and I know that the listeners will connect to yours as well. So let's start in the beginning with, of course, pregnancy and how that all worked for you. Was it normal? Was it not normal? Share.
So the beginning of the pregnancy seemed quite normal for me. Jayson is my second child. My daughter Elizabeth was born 3 years before Jayson, normal pregnancy. I did, however, find out in that first pregnancy that I have Rh negative blood type. Okay. So I had to get a special injection in order to get pregnant again with Jayson. That Rh negative factor tends to make your body attack fetus after your first child. So we tried for a bit to get pregnant, got pregnant. And in the beginning, it was great. I mean, normal morning sickness for me, heartburn. But then we noticed that I started to get really big in my belly really quickly without putting on weight. And then I started measuring weeks ahead of where I should have been. And the doctors were like, we don't know why. We did some blood work. Everything was good. Jayson, because we were measuring like at, I think 28 weeks, we were measuring like
full size. Right.
They couldn't even feel.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah. So, and we did measurements. I was sticking out about 3 feet from the wall.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Like just massive belly. And
there was only one.
There was only one. Yeah. We did the ultrasounds and everything. Mm-hmm. And so my last ultrasound, they did head circumference measurements on him, and it was decided that I would not be able to have him naturally.
Okay.
So we scheduled the C-section, and I had gotten very sick with him with the morning sickness. And then we took, because of the measurements and the size, they actually did the C-section 3 weeks prior to my due date.
Okay.
And he came out 8'6", so he was 8 pounds 6 ounces. He was 22 inches long, but his head circumference was that of an adult.
Wow.
Like his head when he was born was bigger than mine is today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, other than that, I mean, the pregnancy was quite normal.
And so then during that time when he was born, did they start doing some tests then, or did you just happily take him home?
Yeah, we were in the hospital for about a week, just because they did take him 3 weeks early. He wouldn't latch properly, which was different. But I guess, I mean, not every baby latches really well. Mm-hmm. They did blood work. His scores right off the hop were a little bit lower than normal on the fetal charts. But I didn't suspect anything. I just thought, okay, well, he's got a big head, whatever, right? It happens. He'll grow into it.
Absolutely. Right.
So, yeah, we went home about a week after and started our journey together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what did that look like?
For us, it was a slow progress for him. He seemed to like develop slower, learn slower, walk slower, start speaking later.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so at what point did you start to think that something is definitely happening or something's not quite right?
Well, and I mean, I don't know
or
if
did you?
I did. At 3 months old, we ended up having an emergency situation where he stopped breathing. He was turning blue, and I lived about 25 minutes out of town. It was November, and I didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. So I loaded him into my car, and I mean, thank God it was like really early in the morning. It was like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I lived in a smaller town, and I bombed for the hospital. Mm-hmm. I was probably driving way faster than I should, obviously, because I was panicked. I'd never experienced anything like this. And when we got to the hospital, I had a police escort, because I went blowing through lights.
Right, yes.
I didn't care. I was in a panic. My baby was turning blue.
Yeah, definitely.
I got out of my car, and the cop got out of his car with his gun drawn and said, what are you
What's going
doing?
on?
What's going on? And I just looked at him and I said, well, my baby's in the back seat. He's turning blue. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's happening. Shoot me if you want, but I'm going through those doors.
Yeah.
And I mean, thank God he was very, very civil, very good. He's like, okay, well, next time maybe just slow down just a slight, hesitate at the lights and have your four-ways on. He walked back into his car. I unloaded Jayson. We went into the hospital. Well, as it turns out, we were there for quite some time, and they diagnosed him with asthma at 3 months old.
Okay.
And I was terrified. I was like, oh my God, what is this going to do to our lives?
Did you recognize any signs of asthma?
No.
Before?
No, none. It was just like one night he just stopped breathing and was struggling. And from there, we started having regular visits to the emergency room. We actually ended up with our own chair because he would get sick so frequently with breathing problems. They said that he had bronchiolitis, not bronchitis. In infants, it's bronchiolitis.
Okay.
And we were probably in there at least once a month. And then come harvest season, it would be full-blown asthma attacks.
Yeah.
So we had inhalers and
Right.
yeah.
And how long did that go on for? Or is it still?
He still has inhalers. He seems to have outgrown the bulk of like the bronchiolitis. But come harvest season, we still have to go to those inhalers. With the wildfires, we bust out the inhalers. It's as a needed now.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then school years, what was the school years like?
So we put him into kindergarten and started noticing that he wasn't as advanced as his peers, obviously. So he got held back. He did kindergarten twice. When we got into grade 1, I was out here in Red Deer from where we were living before as a single mom, and kind of got pulled aside one day and said, hey, he's not where he needs to be. Are you okay if we put him in a special program? And I said, by all means, yes. So he got put into what they call the Foundations program here in Red Deer. Yeah. It's a fantastic program for anybody whose children are a little bit different. And through that, we got some testing because he was behind on his speaking. So we got tested and were given some speech language help through the schooling. And obviously with that came homework. And then, he stayed in the foundation program right through all of school, all the way to graduation. He graduated with a certificate, not an actual diploma. Yeah. But I mean, it taught him what he needed to know for life. But he was always slow. He was always different and would have different outbursts and different behaviors. Right. That I would notice, like he would thump his head when he got frustrated. We were talking about the grass one day and I said, oh yeah, look at the pretty green grass. And he's like, no, it's blue. Oh. And I was like, no, honey, it's green. Like, you know what the color green looks like. And he's like, no, Mama, it's blue. And he got very argumentative about it. And we noticed that little things like that, like just little arguments about different things.
What about sensory issues? Does he have any of that?
Loud noises.
Noises.
Yeah, he doesn't like a lot of loud noises. He had different ways of handling social aspects of life. Like he didn't really like to talk to people, didn't like to look people in the face. The typical, I guess, what you would call autism signs. But at the time, I didn't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right? I'd heard of Down syndrome, you know, what physical disabilities look like, but I'd never really heard of autism.
Yeah, I think it's been relatively new out in the mental health world. So
when we first started looking, because he was different, we had noticed some stuff. When I first got him into a pediatrician and started talking to her about it, he was diagnosed with what was termed as Asperger's syndrome. Okay. Which is now not a thing. Okay. It's lumped in under that autism umbrella now. So we were diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. We were diagnosed with ODD, which is oppositional defiance disorder. We were diagnosed with an underdeveloped bladder. We had all of these different diagnoses that didn't quite fit. So I kept going back and going back and going back and trying to find somebody that would listen to me. And when they finally did, that's when we finally got the definitive diagnosis of autism.
Okay.
And that was while he was in school. And then through that, we were able to get more testing and found out that not only was he on the autism spectrum, he also had a moderate to severe cognitive learning disability. So those diagnoses were huge for me. And I fought for them for years, like from kindergarten. He finally got diagnosed definitively in high school.
And by who did that?
So we got referred to, from my pediatrician to a psychologist and a psychiatrist.
Right, okay.
And they were the ones that finally sat down and they watched Jayson. We were in there for hours. Jayson would play, he would talk to them. They listened to my story about him. And they finally said, yeah, no, all of these different markers, all of these different pieces fit together as autism. And then when we got that, they started doing testing in the school for his cognition.
Right.
So that's how we got the diagnosis of the moderate to severe learning disability. So he functions, he turns 24 tomorrow.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. He's such a sweetheart.
Yes.
But at 24, he functions still anywhere between 9 and 11.
Okay.
Cognitively.
Yeah. Wow.
Emotionally, he is stuck at 7.
Okay.
And that will never change. Yeah.
And so what does that mean? You're only stuck at emotionally at 7.
So
he can't experience more emotions or greater
so
emotions?
if you think about, I know you have children. If you think about their emotional state at 7, they're all over the place. They're volatile. Yeah, right. Like,
but they are all the time.
It's normal though,
Yes.
right? At 7 to have, and Jayson doesn't he can't grasp sarcasm.
Ah, I see.
Right? Like
okay.
a 7-year-old can't really grasp sarcasm.
Yes.
Jayson doesn't like people joking with him. So he doesn't quite grasp the joke. So it's
the more complex.
Yeah, right? So he's stuck at a much lower developmental stage. Yeah.
Yeah, and my sister Christine too is probably a 3-year-old maybe with feelings and things, and 7 cognitively probably as well.
Yeah. So I mean, it changes how you prepare for the future for him, like for his life. I mean, he graduated high school.
Yeah.
But would I put him in a home? No. So my current husband is not his biological father. And when we met,
obviously it was a huge learning curve for him.
Absolutely.
So we attended some training through a program here, or a school in Red Deer called Aspire Learning Center. And they host programs for adults or parents with children that are different. And it taught us how to work with Jayson better, more appropriately. Because when Ashley, is my husband now, came into our life, he had never had children and had never been around children with Jayson's disabilities. So he had these expectations of Jayson to be normal.
Yes.
And no matter how we tried to explain to him that he couldn't quite be that way, he couldn't quite grasp it until he heard it from a professional and went through the program and the steps on, when you want Jayson to do something, you can't give him this big, long explanation of, go tie your shoes, put your jacket on, we're going to the car. Yeah. It doesn't work like that now, Jayson, or most young people or children with autism. You have to break it down into steps, one step at a time. So this program through Aspire taught us how to do that and how to communicate better with him and how to deal with the outbreaks and the tantrums and the argumentative side of him.
Yeah, that's the Aspire Medicine here in Red Deer.
Yes. And I'm sure there's all sorts of those programs throughout Canada and the United States.
Okay, so I know that the Special Olympics is a very big part of Jayson's life, and I know it was for my sister as well. So share your story there.
Okay, so yes, Special Olympics has played a huge role in Jayson's life. Not only his life, but my life, his sister's life, Ashley's life. So I actually heard about it through another program here in Red Deer. I think it was the PDD, which it's a people with disabilities program here in Red Deer. And they connect you with all sorts of different programs and government programs that can help you. So when we got into Special Olympics, we started with just one program. They have several. Jayson started in the swim program.
Okay.
When he went in, he didn't know how to swim. I didn't know how to swim. I don't like water.
Right.
So we registered him as, something for him to do, because normal sports we tried.
Yeah.
And it really did not go well. Even though where we had taken him said, oh yeah, no, we're good, we can handle anything and everything.
Right, yeah.
It was not, I think, what he wanted, what I wanted. It didn't go well, is all I'm going to say. So we registered him in swimming, and they were fantastic. I mean, it was one-on-one at the time, and we still do one-on-one with any of our athletes that need it. They taught him how to swim, and we have gone from one program, which was swimming. He now does swimming, golf, competitive softball, floorball, powerlifting. He's tried bowling. Like, the programming that they have is just phenomenal, and they do fundraising so that these athletes can actually afford it. Because most regular sports are super expensive.
Yes.
And a lot of these athletes are on a budget. They're on AISH. So
Right.
the Alberta Income Support for the Mentally Handicapped, which is a horrible name, but that's okay.
It is a horrible name.
It is what it is.
Let's try and change that, okay?
Yes, it is what it is. We should try and change that. But through that, he gets to socialize with other people like him, and that are more severely disabled than him. Some function better than him. And it allows him to have the sports in his life. And I mean, he has competed at 3 provincial games now. The first one obviously was swimming, where he came home with a silver and a bronze. And then he did another one in floor hockey. He came home with I think silver. And then this last one he just did this year up in Grand Prairie, he did powerlifting, which was a new sport for him. And he came home with a gold medal.
Like, wow. Right?
Yeah, and I mean, just the camaraderie-ship and the team aspect that you get from any of the Special Olympics is just phenomenal.
Yes, the connections you make, the friendships.
Yes, and
right?
it's not
The
just here in Red
family.
Deer.
No.
You make friends, and through COVID, I cannot tell you what a good job Special Olympics did keeping these athletes active and connected. They went from in-person sports to an online program where you could log on and do sports together. They did yoga and shared stories, and it was all over the province. Like, it was just phenomenal.
What an amazing community.
Yeah. And through that, I mean, I am now like an assistant coach. I'm a team manager. I'm fundraising. My daughter's a head coach and assistant coach. We all volunteer.
Yeah.
So it's got the whole family very involved in the community. And Jayson is super involved in the community. It drew him out as a person, because before he was shy, he wouldn't talk. He was very withdrawn. And through Special Olympics, he's learned those social cues. He will talk to anybody now about himself, about anything. Yeah. It's been amazing. It's such an amazing. I cannot speak enough good things about Special Olympics.
And I've even known Jayson for a couple of years, and I've seen a difference in him. He was one of my models for a show I did.
Yes,
so
and thank you for that. Thank you for that inclusion. And that is a huge thing, is that inclusion. Yeah.
And he did very well, too.
Yes. Oh, my God. He got a photo shoot out of it.
He did. And an article in a magazine.
Yes.
Young Achievers International. So that was pretty intense. Amazing.
Yeah, and he did phenomenal. As a mom, you kind of like, I don't know if he's ready for this, but I mean, he handled it probably better than I would have.
Yeah, and handsome to boot, too.
Oh, yeah. My God, he looked good.
So let's move on to, how has this changed you as a parent? Like, raising a child that is as we say, normal, which I don't even think that should be a word
No,
anymore
no,
either.
no.
But anyone with neurodivergent issues,
Yeah.
how is it like?
So Jayson sees the world differently than you or I or anybody out there. And it's made me look at the world different. It's made everybody in our lives look at the world different. He sees the good
Amazing,
in
yeah.
people, the situation, and never sees the bad. I call it, he sees the world with those rose-colored glasses.
all the time.
All the time.
All the
which
time.
is phenomenal. I would love to be able to do that.
I was just gonna say, I wish we could all.
It's fantastic in
Yeah.
one aspect, but in another, it's terrifying.
True.
You think about society's problems right now, and having that naivety, I guess is what I would call it,
Yes.
is terrifying as a parent.
Yeah.
So am I sometimes overprotective? Probably.
Yeah.
But I do it out of love. And I mean, do I put him into situations where he might not be comfortable?
Yeah.
Yes, I do, but it's to help him grow.
To help him grow, absolutely, right?
And I mean, yeah, his sister grew up probably faster than like she would have normally had he not been neurodivergent, because she had to help me look after him
Yes,
growing up.
and that's the sister squared part, right? Is,
Yeah.
is the siblings
Yeah.
role in all of these
Yes.
family situations
Yeah.
and family dynamics,
Yeah.
and how it affects even Elizabeth and
Yeah.
and
yourself.
and myself and my
Yeah.
brother, and
Yeah.
right? Yeah, absolutely.
They really do kind of create this community of people around them without even realizing it.
Yeah,
And that community is so vital.
it is.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So let's move on to what kind of hopes, because Jason's only 24 tomorrow. What do you see for him in the future? What kind of vision do you have for him?
Well, you know, obviously, as any parent would, I would like him to have like a normal life. You know, like he's growing up. He does have a job,
Good.
as most of them do. He works for the same company that Ashley does, as a shop laborer. And my God, that company has been just phenomenal with him. And I wish
Wonderful.
more
Yeah.
companies were like this. And I have to
Yeah.
give them a shout out. It's called
Do.
Monster Controls Electrical Systems, Inc. They're based out of Alex, Alberta. And when they decided to hire Jayson, the owner, Tyler, approached me and Ashley and said, hey, you know, I know Jason's a little bit different. We'd like to hire him to do some labor around the shop. And how can I work with him and communicate with him to make sure that he fully understands what I'm asking him to do?
That's
and are there
amazing.
limitations to what he can do? Like it just, I'm gonna cry. Like
Amazing.
I really do think every employer out there should hire somebody who
Yeah.
is neurodivergent to see just what they are capable of.
Absolutely.
Tyler has Jayson doing things that I would never let him do.
Right?
He has him running like saws and driving
Wow.
tractors and backhoes and, you know, just stuff that I would like, as a mom, like because I'm terrified, I would be like, no, he can't do that. Tyler doesn't see that.
No.
He just
Moms
sees,
see that.
Yeah,
Yes, we
yeah.
do.
Tyler sees him as very, very capable. Yes, he takes longer to learn, and he needs that extra little bit of care. But everything that Tyler has ever asked him to do, he has done wholeheartedly and without question and
Or
without
complaining.
incident. Or, well, he does complain sometimes on the more boring tasks, because there are some of those, you
Yeah,
know, like
yeah.
sorting screws and nuts and
Yeah,
washers.
yeah.
Jayson doesn't like to do that. He likes to drive the equipment, but I mean, he still does it.
Yeah.
And Tyler just has no qualms about letting him do it.
No.
Yeah.
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 Definitely.
And I really do think for Jason's future, I mean, obviously he's got the job. He doesn't have a girlfriend yet, but I mean, he's always looking,
Of course.
right? I mean, what young man wouldn't be?
Exactly.
So
at
would I like
24.
to, right? Would I like to see him get married and have kids? Of course I
Absolutely.
would. What
Yeah.
parent wouldn't want that for their
Yes.
child, right? And then, I mean, obviously, you have to, as a parent of a neurodivergent child, you have to think of the future
Yes.
and a future without yourself in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have put checks and stops in place. We've got him an RDSP, so a registered disability savings plan, where the
Okay,
government
yeah.
matches. So if he puts in $1, they put in 3.
Oh, wow.
So that's a huge, huge
That is
program.
huge, yeah.
Yes. So we have that set up. We have another savings plan set up for him. We have, because I am his legal guardian and I am his trustee.
Okay.
And that was a whole nother we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But I have all that set up so that when I do pass, everything is in place for him.
Good, yeah.
So that he won't have to go into a home and he won't be worrying for money.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah.
Some advice for other parents.
Oh, yes. So, the one thing I
And
can...
take it lightly, people.
Yes,
Take it lightly.
yes. No, the one thing I can say is advocate for your child.
Yes.
Had I not advocated and pushed, we would not have a proper diagnosis. We would not have gotten the funding that we needed for Jayson. I had my aides. We had aides all through Jayson in school. They would come in after and they taught him social cues. They taught him busing routes. They taught him anything and everything that we wanted them to work on. We set up the program. But had I not advocated and pushed for that diagnosis, we never would have gotten it.
Right.
So my advice is push. If you think there's
Push.
something different, push. Advocate for your child. Use the resources that are out there. Apply for every government funding
Absolutely,
there is.
And then some.
And then some. And when they get close to 18, because that's when AISH is allowed to kick in,
Right.
apply early and get it done, because it took us probably the better part of 6 months to get his AISH approved.
Yeah.
But again, we had to go through it through COVID, so there was a lot of stuff.
Can you just explain AISH a little bit?
So
'Cause
AISH
I mean, I know a little bit about
Yeah.
it, but not probably to the extent that you do.
AISH is Jayson's, because a lot
Can
of
you,
these
like, what is the wording? Apply-
Alberta income or applied income for the severely handicapped.
Severely handicapped, yeah.
Which
Those are
again
the words
is,
that we don't like, right?
Yes, yeah. It's old wording.
It is old wording.
Same with the word disabled or disability. They're handy-capable is a better
Exactly.
word.
Yes, that's a good word,
Yes.
yeah.
So AISH is funding from the government that comes in once a month that will allow a neurodivergent child or person, because you have to be 18, adult, to have an income. It's a steady income.
But you also need a certain type of diagnosis, right? And it needs to come from a psychiatrist?
It
not
has to come from, there is paperwork. So there's
a lot of paperwork.
It's about a stack like
Yeah.
this. So you have to have your doctor on board. In Jayson's case, we had our pediatrician on board. We had the psychiatrist on board. So and then you have to fill out the paperwork as well. So there's 4 different components to get AISH approved.
And is one of the components medication?
No, they don't. You don't have to be on medication
Okay.
to receive AISH.
Interesting.
No, medication is not one of them. Yes, Jayson is on medication, and we've been all over the map with medication
Yeah.
to get him leveled,
Right.
right? So with his diagnosis initially of Asperger's syndrome or ADHD, ADD, what happens is the brain fires so rapidly that they have, so a normal person will have 3 to 7 thoughts per minute. In Jayson's case, I know,
Not
right?
a neurodivergent person. No way.
No, a neurodivergent person will have thousands
Yeah.
of thoughts per minute. And the problem is they can't grasp and focus
Right.
onto 1 or 2 at a time. So a lot of the meds help that rapid fire slow down so
Yes.
that they can grasp and hang on
Yeah.
to thoughts
Right.
1 or 2 at
Yeah.
a time. But you do not have to be on meds to get AISH. No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add in before we close up and wrap up? Any exciting stories about Jayson or something you would like everyone to share, to know?
No.
Sorry.
Well, like
and
I said,
share?
I always advocate. I can't say enough about the programs that are available, like the PDD, the AISH, the Special Olympics. Just look into wherever you are living, look for those programs. They will help your neurodivergent child grow as a human being, and never put limitations on what they can do.
Absolutely.
You
I
would
love
be
that.
surprised at what they are capable of if you give them the chance.
Yes. And of course, you can reach out to Nicole anytime you would like, or
Yep.
the Special Olympics, or myself. I was an educator in the school system for over 20 years, so I do have some knowledge surrounding this
Yeah.
as well, along with my sister, Christine, who's Down syndrome. So I want to thank you very much for your openness and
well,
your
thank
honesty.
you for having me.
And acknowledging that every story is important, and we include everyone.
Yep.
And so that's a wrap for today. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And say hi to Jayson for
I
us,
will,
okay?
and thank you for your support of him over the last few years.
yes.
It's been phenomenal because I know even with the polar plunge, you donated.
I did. I
Yes.
want to actually be there to witness it
Yeah,
one day.
it's
but
so much fun. He
Yeah.
loves it. Yeah.
yeah. All right.
Thank you so much.